shut that off. Purge horn. Yeah, I guess that's just what it is then. All right. Well, it is what it is. All right, we're gonna shift it. It is what it is. Can't do shit about it, huh? We'll make it go live. I'm trying here. I guess I just can't simulcast. I gotta figure out why that is. That's bizarre. But hey, it is what it is. All right, let's set this live. All right, I'll just tell the people, go ahead and clean up that body that's in the bottom corner that's over there. Go ahead and clean up that body. I don't know if they're gonna send a notification to people that I am live. I would highly doubt that's the case. It probably would be in my best interest if I close the stream and reopen. I don't know if they send a notification that I am now live. I am not sure. Well, it's been only about a minute, so we will see how. Wait a minute. Oh well. Oh, the people. God damn, what? They had a notification that I went live. Oh well. Alrighty then. Well, that's. And see that's kind of awkward. We didn't even finish cleaning up the body here. Wait. What did I say? Whatever the case may be. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy Wednesday. What's going on? What is going on? We'll go down the list. Let's shout some people out, goddammit. Devontae, Zay, Wesley, Bruce. Bruce? What's that? You remember I put that shit in my goddamn videos all the time. Bruce? Shout out to, I believe it was, fuck was his goddamn name? It was something Dubs. Was it Jadoobie Dubs? I forget. God damn it. I use that sound effect all the time. Bruce? Alex, DeLorean, Matthew, KT Chris, Jordan, Ant White. Adonis, is it Adonis DJ? What is going on? Macho Tom in the bill said, "What we drinking?" I'm actually gonna be drinking Kevin Hart's tequila, but it's after I get off the doggone stream. So right now I got some tea. I let homegirl Adonis know that you said what's up. She said hi back. It was actually a birthday yesterday. Turned 26. But Dwayne. Dante in the building, Gold, Big Fat Paulie, Kenny, what is up? Creator, Discerning One, Bobby Marshall, Don in the house, what's going on? Kid Leo, Julian, Johnny, Griffin. All right, well, first and foremost, I'm going to keep shouting the people's names out while it's going, but I just want you to write in the chat for the NFL fans, what team do you support and what's their record right now? So you could just put right now, hey, Falcons, I believe, 2-2. Colts, 1-3. Vikings, 3-1. Packers, 3-1. Steelers, 1-3. What's your team? What's your record? I want to know where we sit right now in the community with our squads. Okay, Jets, Jets, 2-2. I see some Giants in here, 3-1. Dolphins, 3. Wait a minute. How you got two teams, 3-1? You can't just pick two teams in each conference. I mean, I ain't the fandom police, so you can do whatever the hell you want. But Texans, oh, good Lord. 3-1. Reaper said you support anybody but the Browns. We've got a fucking hater alert. This man hates anybody. He hates only the Browns. He said anybody can win a game in the NFL except the Browns. God damn. Talk about number one hater, bro. Get that man the Haters Bowl jacket. The 2022 Hater of the Year. Motherfucker hate the Cleveland Browns. What do you mean? They said there's free vouchers at the masseuse. I'm not going because Deshaun Watson is a fucking inappropriate toucher, and I don't roll with anybody from the fucking Browns. It's ridiculous. Panthers trash ass. God damn, what is the Panthers record? 1-3? Are they 1-3 right now? Hey, let me tell you something right now. If I'm not mistaken, Christian McCaffrey didn't sign a new deal over the course of the last 2 years. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I would not be surprised if he does not finish his career with Carolina. Somebody correct me what the let me know if there is a if there was a new contract for Christian McCaffrey. Somebody let me know. I don't feel like Googling it right now, so I'd rather let somebody put it in the chat room. Would I fight Mandy Rose? Says Johnny. Absolutely. I would fight her and then I'd pin her over the table. But we ain't talking about that right now. Panthers are 1-3. Yes, indeed. Moses said, hoping Bill turns it around for the Pats. Well, it could happen. It could happen. I see the Cowboys 3-1. Magnificent. Lolly Lule Low 1-3. 2 years ago, he signed the new deal. Okay, so 2 years ago, he signed the new deal. All things considered, I'd highly doubt it was something of a 5-year deal. Did I say Commanders? I meant Panthers. But yeah, I don't see him finishing his career with the Carolina Panthers. He will be going somewhere else. Jets 2-0 and 49ers 2-0. Hey, they picked it up after that slow start. Commanders 1-3. Seattle is 2-2, if I'm not mistaken. Or Seattle, I think is 2-2. Yeah, they're 2-2. The Broncos 1-3, I believe. The Raiders 1-3. Says Tails. Fanatic. Abyss, Ty Gray, Shari, Sean Jones 44. Leak. The building. Reginald, Top Shotter. Marcy, 5 Khalil. LeBron, Irish Warlord, Brian, Denzel. What is going on, y'all? What's going on? I'm only going to stay live for about 60 minutes, but it's more than enough time to recap what transpired in week 4 and also kind of preview what's going to transpire in week 5. Do I think Julian Edelman would be a good would he sign with the Buccaneers? Absolutely. With Cole Beasley retiring, there is not a doubt in my mind Julian Edelman, there'll be a pitch. There will be a pitch because with the injury to Julio Jones, Chris Godwin got banged up. Mike Evans is taking some shots. I'm not somebody who, wishes injury on somebody or tries to predict injury on somebody, but I'm hard-pressed to imagine that Mike Evans won't finish the season. Probably not on IR, but he will miss some games, and it won't be due to suspension again. That man is taking some shots. His workload out there, granted, you should be seasoned and prepared for this kind of, workload. But my God, really out there for Tom Brady, it's just Mike Evans. When you talk about he's the number one receiver and literally the only option. Everybody else is not available or they're underperforming. No, Amendola, no, I don't see that happening. Ted Wilson said the Bills are trash. All right, let's not do that. Let's not do that. Said Miami's going 12-4. That's magnificent. If only 2 stays healthy. Yes, that. David said, do you see they're sticking with Pickett? How long do I think it'll last? I think it'll go the remainder of the season, unless, of course, he starts absolutely stinking up the joint. Like, okay, he had 3 interceptions. 2 ill-advised ones. Well, 1 ill-advised one because he should have just thrown the football away rather than try to throw it to Freiermuth and force it to him. And then ultimately the Hail Mary at the end of the game. I don't like those kinds of picks. They don't necessarily count because there's no real, inclination there's no fallout to that kind of throw because you're trying to win the game and it's over at the pick. It's literally the last play of the game, so that shit don't count. But the underthrow to Chase Claypool, I actually put that more on Pickett than I do on, the defense made a good play and batted it down into the hands of another defense. No, he underthrew him. So Pittsburgh has a problem with underthrowing motherfuckers. Elk. Iron Man, Patan on us. Hey, Chiseled, going to be seeing my Jets be blown out at home versus the Dolphins this weekend, my first NFL game. Let me tell you something right now. I do not think there will be a blowout. I actually think it will be somewhat competitive. People might be surprised, but I think the Jets might actually come to play. Sure, Sir X Gemini, put 2 on. Said Jared Allen going to the Hall, calling it right now. Jared Allen will be in the Hall of Fame, but this season, or I should say, the conclusion of the, I believe NFL honors is when they announce who's going in. I don't believe he's somebody who, first ballot, I understand why he wouldn't make the first ballot because now the Hall of Fame is kind of swifty with how they select individuals. It doesn't make sense because there's guys who should have been first ballot that weren't. That really makes you want to scratch your head. Like, how the hell is Marvin Harrison not a first ballot Hall of Famer? How is Terrell Owens not a first ballot Hall of Famer? How is Shannon Sharp not a first ballot Hall of Famer? You start to look at what's going on. Like, what part of the game is this kind of confusing, So, but Jared Allen is through and through a Hall of Famer. I just hate the fact that they made individuals wait. So I would not be surprised if they messed around and they made him wait as well. Macho Time for 500 said, as a Colts fan, if we end the season under 500, we need a change in coaching and GM. I agree 110%. Enough is enough, and it's time for a change. I will say this regarding Jonathan Taylor. A lot of people have been saying, well, maybe last year was a fluke. I don't think last year was a fluke, but I do think they are criminally underperforming. And the offensive line has been absolutely abysmal. The Colts O-Line, if you watch, even if you didn't watch their games and you only looked at my commentary, Matt Ryan, if I'm not mistaken, I think he might have fumbled every single game this season. It's bad, bro. This man is under duress damn near every time he drops back. It's really ridiculous. So there's that. But yeah, Jordan Pafavon said, should I be worried about my Packers against the Giants in London? Should you be worried about the Packers? To be honest with you, against the Giants, slightly. Because the Giants can be very, very surprising, and it really depends on what sort of identity the Packers defense wants to have. If they slow down Saquon Barkley and they make it a Daniel Jones versus Aaron Rodgers game, the Packers got it. But if Saquon is running and now the Giants have access to the entire playbook and the play action fake can really now become lethal, you're going to have a bad time. I will say this for the Packers offense, though. People cannot afford to drop the ball. If they go up 2 scores, 17 points, making it a 3-score game at the, obviously that's at the fewest amount of points for a 3-score game. But if they go up into the second half and they lead them by 2 scores, I think the Packers can, I don't want to say take your foot off the throttle, but you can rest easy because Daniel Jones ain't going to make that comeback happen. Moreover, Aaron Rodgers, unless, of course, the defense for the Giants were to, nut up and shut them down, I don't see a scenario in which the Packers mess around and lose that game. But it's all predicated on their run defense. It's all predicated on that run defense. David, you're absolutely correct. The Steelers need to return back to their black Air Forces because whatever the fuck they've been doing these past couple of weeks has been absolutely ludicrous, and we're gonna touch on that in a little bit. First and foremost, let's recap what transpired this past week 4. I would love to recap the whole first month of the season game by game, but let's just be honest. If we were to just go by week 4 and kind of chronicle what the team's been looking like throughout the entire season from team by team as we go game by game, we can pretty much come to a conclusion of what particular happened. So first and foremost, Miami Dolphins, Cincinnati Bengals, Thursday Night Football. Bengals won the game 27-15. Of course, we saw that scary injury to Tua. I will say this for the Dolphins. They do look impressive. Granted, it was only the first month of the season. Tua getting hurt, not really knowing how long he's going to be out. I don't know if there was any additional information that was released regarding what things are going to look like for Tua moving forward. But with Tua out, and Teddy Bridgewater leading the fray. Don't get me wrong, Teddy's a, average quarterback. He's not bad. But Tua was playing, exceptional for the first 3 weeks and half of a quarter. Well, quarter and a half. Cincy, and I stated this, I said this from before the season even started. I actually think Cincy's going to be a 500 team because the 50-50 wins that they had last year, this year, I don't think they're going to mess around and get those. So since that's the case, for the Bengals, offensively, that O-line is really, really, really coming apart. It's already been a problem. 2 years ago, Joe Burrow tore his ACL. Last year, he was the most sacked quarterback in the league. This year, this man is still getting hit from every aspect of the goddamn field. Until they fix that offensive line, I don't want to hear anything about contenders possibly repeating as AFC champions. I don't think it's going to happen unless they fix that doggone offensive line. Now, Cincinnati had 2 rough losses in the season, but they definitely can bounce back, but I think it's all predicated on that offensive line. Their defense is, it's just enough to help them. But offensively, if that O-line cannot show up, they're going to have a bad time. The league is filled with motherfucking pass rushing defenses. Somebody just got to, if you have a subpar offensive line, you could play against a decent defense, and all of a sudden, your offense is going to look like, what the hell is happening? My jersey's dirty. We've only had 3 plays on the field, and this man been under duress every single one. You're not going to have a good time. You got to block. If you can't block, it's clipped. I agree 110%, Macho. If since he doesn't get an O-line, Joe is Luck Jr. Absolutely. Absolutely. I said it his rookie year. If they do not get him on the offensive line that is solid, it's over. Don't get me wrong. You ain't gotta have an offensive line that Troy Aikman had. You ain't got to have an offensive line that, hell, Peyton Manning had. Well, it was more, Peyton made more checks to really make the O-line work versus, having an elite, front in front of him every single year. Brady did the same on the back half of his career as well. But my God, protect your goddamn quarterback. It doesn't make any sense to me. But for both teams, congratulations to the Bengals. They got themselves the W. For the Dolphins, it was an unfortunate situation. I think if Tua played that game, I still think Cincy would have probably got the W, but it would have been much more competitive because even with Teddy Bridgewater in, after that touchdown drive, when they went down the field, I believe they cut it to 2, and then they went down the field, kicked the field goal, and then took the lead. And then right after, since he had that touchdown, that life was already taken out. Once they saw the injury to Tua, since he immediately had the football, they scored, and then they did it again, and they just had to hold on. So for Miami, moving forward, I think they're going to be relatively 500 if Tua were to come back. So all of those possible Super Bowl hopes, I think that's relatively clipped. Don't get me wrong. Unless Teddy Bridgewater plays spectacular football, I think it's somewhat clipped. But Joe Burrow and the Bengals, I think they'll still be a 500 football team. It all comes down to that offensive line. It literally has to come down to that offensive line. Ted said, I'm out of large sweaters. If yes, you put your motherfucking head back there. Well, I don't know what you're going to say. Oh, if it's sweaters on the website, there's a number of sweaters on the website that are out, but there are some that are available. But, I'll have to restock. The Big Humper. That's an interesting name. On Wednesday, happy hump day. I hope you are humping today. Somebody. Actually, with their consent, of course. Nobody wants to be a, rapist. But, did I hear about Tom Brady's impending divorce? Now, there's no word about the I don't know if it actually came out that there's an official divorce that's happening, but I did see that she hired a divorce lawyer, and evidently he might be looking as well. So that's unfortunate, but that's his love for the game may have usurped, his love for the house life, which it's a slippery slope because, like I had said in a prior stream, you're talking about a guy who is arguably, or I should say, I don't want to say universally, but most consider him the greatest to have, not just the greatest quarterback, the greatest player to have ever played. So you talk about GOAT amongst GOATs, right? Then with Giselle, at the time that she was at her peak, she was the best in the game as well. Somebody made a sacrifice. So ultimately, when they got together, they may have, all right, let's make a family and all this other stuff and things of that nature. But unfortunately, she went on the back burner. He went forward, but he succeeded in his mission and what it is that he's doing. Now it's almost like you're chasing the dragon. It's like when Undertaker couldn't find that last match to retire. Brady, it's like you hit that, you can't eliminate that competitive desire that exists there. It's a blessing and it's also a curse because nothing can come before your passion. It's to people who don't necessarily chase their dreams or chase a goal relentlessly and have that fire, that mountain to climb, they won't necessarily understand. But for Brady, it's like this is his life source. And I do believe this is his last season, and then ultimately he's going to go into television. But I think there was a little bit of a deception that existed because when he said, hey, I'm going to retire, whatever the case was, Giselle finally had that sigh and that exhale of relief. And then Brady said, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going back. And then at that point, now it's like, yo, you You straight up lied to me. So there's that. But it's an unfortunate sort of situation. William Pateno said, as an Eagles fan, I'm super proud of our O-line. Kelsey has been elite, absolutely. Run game feeds on him. It's refreshing to see. Love your Chisel. I appreciate you. And somebody had mentioned earlier, a couple of streams ago, do I believe that both Kelsey brothers will make it into the Hall of Fame? And you know what? Because Travis is a lock. Travis is definitely going. But Jason Kelsey has put together quite a resume on the last 6 years of his career. Really, when you talk about best centers in the game, there was a point in which he was consistently the best center. And then now still he is doing a hell of a doggone job. So to be honest with you, I think both Kelsey brothers might just have a shot. Travis, definitely. Jason, it's following the centers of this generation. What do you have here? You have Pouncey. You have Kelsey. Well, I can't put Mac. I can't put Mac. Mac had a good couple of seasons, but I wouldn't put Mac. Oh, who the hell was it the Cowboys center? Was it No, Frederick wasn't the center. Well, Frederick? Well, I couldn't put Frederick over Kelsey. You know what? I think I would have to go. I think I would have to go Kelsey, Pouncey of the centers of this generation. The past 10. No, Martin was a guard. Martin was a guard. So I guess if you were to go to top two centers of the 2010s, is it safe to say Kelsey and Marquise Pouncey? Because if I'm not mistaken, Martin was a guard. I think those two. Frederick was pretty doggone good, but Frederick better than Kelsey? I don't know. And if you look at Kelsey, all pro, it's like it's a number of stuff that's there. So I don't know. NAOHN said, I'm sorry, this is all copy. Have I heard about the group of women in green jumpsuits that jumped two girls? Yes, I did. Somebody sent it to me. No, Travis Frederick was a top center, but the only thing is, was he considered? Well, God damn, he was pretty doggone good. Like I feel like I kind of feel wrong for saying, well, let's just discount Frederick. Really, if you talk about the top three centers of the 2010, that Frederick is definitely there. He's right there alongside Kelsey and also Pouncey as well. So you know what? I'll say those three. So they all got a particular argument to make it into the Hall of Fame. Sir X Gemini put 2 on it. Said thoughts on hand Dwight Freeney his damn flowers ASAP. Absolutely, he should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't understand what the hell's taking so doggone long. He should be in the Hall of Fame. So does Mathis as well. MDJ put 2 on, said thoughts on the Patriots. I will get to the Patriots in a little bit when I touch on their game. Henry put 10 on it. Said, "Sup, Chisel, door is locked, family tied up, 4 flat screens in the bedroom. You have a blow-up doll of me in the closet? What does that mean? First off, why does my blow-up doll have to be in the closet? What you trying to insinuate, brother? What you trying to insinuate? Because you into some swifty kind of activity? Don't create a blow-up doll of me and then stick it inside the closet. You better leave that son of a bitch outside. Matter of fact, don't do that. Because if you leave it outside, then it's going to have to see the nefarious actions and the questionable actions that you do. So I take that back. Matter of fact, you burned the blow-up doll. Matter of fact, don't do that. Because if you made the blow-up doll in the name of voodoo, now all of a sudden you burn it. Now I'm going to be burning it. All right? I'm going to wake up in the morning and be like, why my body on fire? It's not chlamydia. It's the fact that somebody done burned up a goddamn blow-up doll. But why would I think it's chlamydia? We going off the goddamn rails. But you talking about you got a 100-pound dumbbell in your hand, oil all over your body, tacos in the oven. I don't understand what's going on in your house, Henry. On a daily basis, things are going very sideways. I think we need to call the police. You might just be inspired from the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary, brother. I don't understand. It's a weekly basis. You doing something weird, man. It's multiple times per week. What's wrong with you, Henry? I need to understand why these thoughts go through your mind, okay? You need help. You need Jesus. Allah, Buddha, Confucius, Arceus, Jasheen, Morgan Freeman. You need all of the gods. All of them. Son of Odin. You need every single possible god. God of War. All of them. You need help, Henry. You do. You really do. Kyle Donovan, put that on, said, my Jags need to win this Sunday. Much love and respect to the Eagles. My Jags were outplayed and outcoached. A Jags fan for life. Duval. Let me tell you something right now. The Jags played good for a quarter, and then they got absolutely outcoached. I was shocked that Doug Peterson could not get the doggone job done. But ultimately, it is what it is. But Yeah, so we'll move on from the Thursday night game. Let's fire on to London, where the Minnesota Vikings took on the New Orleans Saints. And ultimately, the double doink cost the Saints the game. Now, for the Saints, a couple of people weren't playing. I think, nonetheless, that did not necessarily matter. I think the Vikings would have won this game regardless whether the Saints were healthy or not. But I will say this for the Vikings. I'm not sold on them. I'm not sold on the Vikings at all. I don't know how to feel about that football team. It's been 1 month. You had a good couple of games, but if I'm not mistaken, they've had nail biters, the entire season? Week 1 against the Packers, very, very good game. Week 2, they lose to the Eagles. They got cooked, pretty much dominated the entire doggone game. Week 3, down to the wire against the Lions, and if I'm not mistaken, they won on their final drive. And then ultimately, week 4, they survive against the New Orleans Saints. For the Saints, I think you could just take the L out of love. It's over, brother. I have. You lost 3 straight. You haven't really played well. Things can turn around because the NFC South is relatively weak this year, because I do see the Buccaneers probably capping at about 10. Maybe if they're lucky, they can get to 11 games. But the Panthers are the Falcons. So you could always bounce back, but the Saints, they need some help. They need some help. But for the Vikings, I don't know how to feel about them. On paper, they look good, but ultimately, I want to see what happens midway through the season. They're one of the teams where truly they make it to the playoffs. I want to see how they perform, because Kirk Cousins in prime time with the lights on always underperforms. So really, for the regular season, it don't matter for him. I need to see what it looks like when this man plays in bright lights and he shows up. What was it? His first 9 games in prime time, he lost? That's crazy. That's crazy. You can't keep losing prime time games. That's crazy. Doesn't make any sense. Eric, how the hell is Eric Allen not in the Hall of Fame? Fam, I really wish I knew, man. Like, if you really talk about defensive backs, we were talking about earlier with the Falcons secondary from the 90s, all them boys should have been in the Hall of Fame. Fun fact, them boys who was the 94 secondary for the 49ers, all them boys put up some numbers. Are they all Hall of Famers? Maybe not. But if you really were to sit there, you look at numbers, some defensive backs from the 80s and the 90s, these dudes was catching picks left and right. Don't get me wrong. It was a different league, right, where interceptions was more prevalent, where there wasn't so much analytics that played into things. But there was a lot of game changers who haven't got the call to go into the Hall. So it's very unfortunate. Sir X Gemini, you're absolutely correct. William put 2 on, said the Minnesota Tinky Winkies is the funniest name, by the way. I appreciate that. I'm going to keep that rolling. I actually didn't. I don't think I said that this week in the commentary, but I'm going to make that a staple. I keep going back to the Purple People Eaters, but those boys were some dogs in the late 60s and 70s. These Vikings ain't so much them dogs. Although the late 2000s Vikings with the Williams brothers in the middle and then Jared Allen on the outside. Oh boy, there was some goddamn monsters head hunting out there. But that's my thoughts on the Vikings and the Saints. Cleveland and Atlanta. Atlanta did not choke. Atlanta did not choke and ultimately got themselves a W. But I will say this for Atlanta. Although they got themselves that W, Marcus Mariota is not the guy who's going to lead this team. He's just pretty much a placeholder at the quarterback position until they either draft to get somebody or they were to try to attract somebody to Atlanta. But the probability of them attracting somebody there with the offense that they have right now, it's probably futile. So for Atlanta, hey, just have hope that they win a good amount of games this year. But I simply cannot see them, especially through 1 month of the season. I don't see them doing anything special. As for the Browns, offensively, the Browns actually, I think when Watson comes back, if they stay 500 and Watson can seamlessly enter into the offense, they can possibly make things interesting. Don't get me wrong. I think if they can stay somewhat 500 by the time that Watson comes back for the final, he comes back week 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So he's got, what, 6 games? They suspended him on 11-game suspension, so his first game back could be against Houston. So if the Browns can enter week 13 sitting at 6-5, 5-6, 7-4, if they can enter week 13 there, they can have a little bit of noise to close out the doggone year. No, Vic is not a Hall of Famer. We're not going to do that. He changed the game, but he's not a Hall of Famer. When we talk about best, greatest of all time, he's a trailblazer for, that style of play, but Vic is not a Hall of Famer. Colin, for 5-1 said, do I think Watson will be rusty? Also thoughts on Baker. I do think Watson will be somewhat rusty. It all depends on how he's preparing right now to enter into the game. Because really, think about it. He will have been gone for a season and a half. That's a long time to have not played football. A long time. So he will be rusty. There'll be some flashes of greatness, but then when he faces adversity, now you're going to have to see, all right, what was your preparation looking like? Also, thoughts on Baker? Baker is a middle kind of guy. Baker's Kirk Cousins. Baker's is Kirk Cousins. He's Kirk Cousins. That's how I look at Baker Mayfield at this point. He's Kirk Cousins. He does have a chip on his shoulder, but he's Kirk Cousins. Kyle, for 5 on it. Said, am I a fan of the show Always Sunny in Philadelphia? I think I would be a fan of it. I've only seen clips, but I think I probably would be a fan of it. T.O. and Chad should be in the Hall of Fame. T.O. is in the Hall of Fame. He was just 3 years late for ridiculous reasons. As for Chad Johnson, he would have been a Hall of Famer, but ultimately, because he headbutted his wife, he's not going to get the nod, which he should. Because when you talk about the best receivers of the 2000s, and there were some dogs in the 2000s, you're talking Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Andre Johnson, who will get into the Hall of Fame, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Steve Smith, Hines Ward, Chad Johnson, and I am not speaking in any order, Anquan Bolden, Larry Fitzgerald. I'm not going to throw Calvin because Calvin came in 2007, so I would count him more towards the 2010s. But the 2000s had some motherfucking dogs at receiver, and there's still some guys whose names I hadn't even mentioned. Like, there was some dogs, and those are some guys amongst the best of the 2000s. So, there's that. MDJ put 2 on it. Said, have I seen Watson's girlfriend? She's a YouTuber. Is he still with that? It's like Janae, some shit like that. With an A, I don't know. I think I slid in her DMs when I was doing the series a few years back. Derek Mason was pretty doggone good, but he's not in the level with those guys. Sterling Sharp played in the 90s. Sterling Sharp should be in the Hall of Fame, but he played in the 90s. Moving on to the Tennessee Titans, Indianapolis Colts. Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken, they have Indianapolis a number. Or is it? No. I think it was when they play against Houston. But Tennessee, this was by far, in my opinion, their best game. But you know what's funny? They took their foot off the gas. If I'm not mistaken, they were leading, 21-3, and then all of a sudden they completely forgot, they were playing a football game where the other team also is professionals. No, I think it was 24-3, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it was 24-3, and then they stopped playing in the second quarter. They almost pulled the Baltimore Ravens. But you want to know why? The Colts could not get the job done in the second half. They couldn't protect. They couldn't finish on third downs. That's what cost them. It's the red zone, it's third downs, and it's protection. That's why the Colts are sitting here at 1-3. That's why the Colts started the season last year. What was it, like 2-5 or some shit like that? It's ridiculous. Is Eli going to the Hall of Fame? I say no. Eli Manning, and I think this is the best analogy to describe it. Eli Manning is a C student who gets an A+ on the finals. That's Eli Manning. Colin put 2 on and said, I've seen a lot of Kenny versus Mitch. What about Mason? I think the ship has sold on Mason. He's not the guy who will carry you moving forward. He's a run-of-the-mill quarterback. He's a middle-pack kind of guy. He's not a franchise QB. He's more of a placeholder. He's not even a good solidified number 2, really, because he's not terrible, but you have to consider who he's following, right? So you're following a legitimate franchise QB, who's taking you to the promised land. So now the person who has to take over has to not fill those shoes, but play to somewhat of that level. Mason has shown time and time again, he's not that guy. Honcho, put 20 on. Say, can you give your quarter awards rankings? Who's the biggest surprise and biggest disappointment? Well, I think we all can say biggest disappointment, I say, is Indianapolis. Indianapolis and Las Vegas. Those two, I think, are the biggest disappointment. Biggest surprise for me isn't Jacksonville, nor is it Detroit, really. I think the surprise would be Minnesota. Sitting at where they're sitting at. Miami looked good on paper, so people kind of knew. The Giants I have no faith, real faith in the Giants. Oh, Broncos is disappointing as well. Seahawks is sitting there. Philly, no, I'm not surprised at this. It's only been a month, so I'm not even going to go Philly as the biggest surprise. I remember going into the year, it was really Dallas and Philly who were the two teams in the NFC East that you kind of knew were going to be something. So I would have to say the biggest surprise for me, I would have to say I'd have to go along the lines of maybe sitting with Minnesota. But the disappointment would definitely be Las Vegas and Indianapolis at those two there. Shurex Gemini put 2 on, said Roddy White and Brian Finneran. Hella underrated. I do agree with Finneran. Roddy White, I think when he played, he definitely had his flowers for sure. Hell, Dwayne Bowe, that's another name for you as well. Tiger said you just joined. What we talking about? Sorry for being late. You better not be sus today, brother. But yeah, we covering each game this past week and also what it looked like from the season thus far. Thoughts on Green Bay? I'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, so that's where I'm at on them. Commanders and the Cowboys. Let me tell you something right now. The Cowboys with Cooper Rush. Actually, if I were to say big surprises, Dallas sitting at 3-1 actually is very surprising without Dak. A lot of people are going to be talking about, and I saw Shady McCoy, and I will say this about Shady. Shady is a phenomenal talent. I think if his final years in Buffalo were as spectacular as his years in Philadelphia, I think Shady would be a surefire Hall of Famer. And, don't get me wrong, he has the numbers and the impact of the 2010s to where he has a legitimate nod. But ever since they started putting mics in front of his face, whether it's the I Am Athlete podcast or him being on television, Shady has said some wild shit, bro. He has said some absolute wild shit. Like, whenever I talked about, there's a lot of people who play the game at a very high level. There's a lot of people who succeed at the game at a very high level. But you can tell they don't necessarily, they don't understand the game to a certain stance, because Shady been saying some crazy shit about whether it's individual players or certain sort of teams and systems. I mean, he said with Eric Bieniemy doesn't necessarily understand offensive football and all this other stuff. He just, he's able to rely on the high-end talent and all this other thing. And some points, were made, but then when Shady pretty much said, well, Cooper Rush and Dak Prescott is virtually the same player. I'm like, all right. They both doing the same thing for the team. All right. I get you're an Eagle. You might have something, regarding with the Cowboys, whatever it may be. But that's a crazy, ludicrous thing to say. Like if you were to go to, if you search like Shady McCoy on, I think it's Speak for Yourself or something like that. He's just been saying some interesting things that really got you scratching your head. Like what? Sir X Gemini put 2 on, said J.J. Stokes, Musin Muhammad. Yes, Musin Muhammad, absolutely. J.J. Stokes, at a lesser degree of Musin Muhammad. How could have Jacksonville kept the lead against the Eagles in the second half? Well, if I'm not mistaken, they lost it before halftime. No, they lost it in the third quarter. I think they should have, really activated the run a bit more. And I'll touch on that. I believe I will be getting to that game in a little bit, but I will say this for Washington. They are god-awful. Washington is god-awful. Dallas, just enough to where they can coast for the most part. But I don't think that this Cooper Rush undefeated, run is going to continue. But I do definitely agree with the fact that don't rush back Dak. However, let's not sit here and make it seem as if there's some sort of quarterback controversy. There's not. That is not the case. It's not the same sort of situation from Dak Prescott and Tony Romo. It's not. It's not. All right, it's not like Cooper Rush is going out there and tearing up the goddamn defenses. He's not. He's all right. We've got a game. It's relatively close. We're just duking it out here. Oh, well, there's CD Lamb. Great pass. Oh, great. It's caught. Bam. Touchdown. They've got a lead, and then here you are. Now, the Commanders, they're Chase Young, not being back yet and things of that nature. However, Carson Wentz simply has not been himself since he tore his knee up in the Super Bowl season. He has not returned back to that form. 2018, I'll give him a pass because he rushed back. And then he ultimately got hurt again. 2019 was very, very difficult. But now for Wentz, it's just he's got some pieces that are around him. It's just his decision-making is just not there. His decision-making is just not there. Steve Smith, is he a Hall of Famer? I say absolutely. 40 said if they lose next game, put in Taylor Heineke. Hey, listen, I can't even sit here and disagree with that. I ain't even going to disagree with that, dog. They lose the next game. If they start looking towards Heineke, I think they need to put homie foot to the fire. I think that's what needs to happen. I think Wentz needs to have that, like, fam, it's either you get it together or you become Teddy Bridgewater. Either you get it together or you become Joe Flacco. You was the guy that people thought would be the guy, and then all of a sudden, you no longer the guy no more because you underperforming. You don't want to be that guy. Honcho Pateno said, Shady just need to stop with the hot take stuff. You ain't Skip Bayless. He also disrespected Bill Belichick, 100%. Him, Asante Samuel, all those different, like, I have no problem with if you're going to talk, especially if you played the game, because you in the locker room, you see the preparation. I hate when they disrespect coaches who the preparation is there. It's like, imagine a defensive player being like, man, Peyton not as good as you said he was. All of the greatest of all time will sit there and be like, fam, this motherfucker was different. The way he prepared was different. But all of a sudden, because you rock with this person, like even if you watch the I Am Athlete, like the fact when they went to Pittsburgh and then the pivot was there, and Ryan Clark. You just listen to how Shady speak. You had nothing to do with the breakup of the I Am Athlete before, but all of a sudden you're adopting and creating a beef. Like, oh man, they over there and they acting like, fam, you about to be 40. You about to be 40, Shady. You about to be 40. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? I get crazy. Man, you 40. About to be 40. But, the pivot is 10 times better. Obviously, the pivot is 10 times better. I think it meshed much, much better. I think what happens with the I Am Athlete, for one, they're desperately missing Chad Johnson not being on there, a regular on there. His energy was a different off the wall. Brandon doesn't interject as much as he did before, but I think the damage was already done. Pac-Man, don't get me wrong, he doesn't necessarily serve a real purpose on the show. He's just kind of existent there. It's not like there's a personality that exists over there. Shady's entertaining to a certain extent, but when you look at it through, I don't want to, this sounds somewhat disrespectful, but if you look at it through an adult lens, when you talk about serious conversations, it doesn't look as if he has the capacity to do that. It seems like he's there more for the drama. You watch The Pivot. Fred Taylor, very well-spoken, very articulate, very to the T. Ryan Clark is an amazing, mediator, moderator, able to navigate through subject. Channing being the comedic relief and able to, when it's a very tense moment, he's able to figure out his comedic timing is so on point, and it's so out of the norm that you're not necessarily sure how to react to it. So every conversation, like look at the sit down that Strahan did on IAA and look at the one he did on The Pivot. Where does he seem more comfortable? I'll leave it at that. Sir X Gemini, put 2 on it. Say Peyton Manning is the smartest quarterback of our generation. I agree 110%. Ryan, put 5 on, said Falcons 2-2 could win the NFC South this year, and the Braves going to run it back this year too. I can't speak for the Braves, but I definitely can say for the Falcons, NFC South this year, I don't see that happening. But for Chad Johnson, somebody need to get that man a consistent space on whether it's television, YouTube, wherever the case may be, pay that man. He need to be in front of a camera 24/7. Him and T.O., I think they were doing something before, but they definitely need to have something happening right now. Seattle, Detroit, shootout. Seattle, and I'm so happy for Rashad Penny having a performance that he had over 150 yards and also 2 touchdowns. But I think the story is more Detroit than it is Seattle, because for Seattle, they're kind of, one week they look one way, the next week they look the other way. However, Detroit, there's a culture changing in Detroit. There is a culture changing in Detroit. And Dan Campbell is at the forefront of it. There's an attitude shift. However, I don't think Goff is the guy. Goff got this season to prove it. He's got to prove it this season. There needs to be a level of toughness that exists there. Because the defensively, they've got to fix that. Defensively, they got to fix that. But there needs to be a fire. And Goff played all right, but I need to see this week in, week out. He got to fucking, it's got to be some, we bombs away for I'm coming for you every single drive. That needs to exist there. But there's a turning in Detroit, and it's happening. They just got to be able to, put games away. And every game don't got to be a goddamn nail biter, bro. Every game for Detroit is a goddamn nail biter. This whole season, let's see right now. This whole season right now for Detroit, where Game 1 against Philadelphia, 38-35. Game 2 against the Commanders, they win 36-27. Game 3 against the Vikings, they lose on the final drive, 28-24. Game 4 against Seattle, they fight all the way back, but then ultimately run out of time. How is it every single game? It's on some, what's going on right here? I can't. You're biting the fuck out your fingers every single game. That's no way to play football, dog. Don't get me wrong. You want to be competitive in every single game. Ain't no doggone reason why the hell every single game is down to the motherfucking wire. You got to start to separate yourself. Should you bench T.J. Hawkinson this week? I would always keep T.J. Hawkinson going because Goff is going to try to find him. MDJ Pafavon said, Rashad Penny went to your high school. Your high school was Norwalk High School in Norwalk, California. Look it up. Well, the more you know. Well, that's pretty cool that he went to your high school. That's what's up. Did he go with you? Well, he was in high school, he was there as well, or he just happened to had been an alumni? Jarvis Pafavon said, do I think Tomlin sold the story on the QB swap? Yes, I think he did. Ryan Pafavon said, how about the Falcons running for 600 yards in 3 weeks? All of our running backs and quarterbacks can run the ball forever. Absolutely. However, can that be a winning formula for their ball club? Now, it worked for Baltimore. Can Atlanta keep that same level of consistency? Because here's the thing. This is a scary formula if you have the lead throughout the entire game. The problem is if Atlanta falls behind, if they're down 2 scores, if they're down 3 scores, and it's the third quarter, you can't run the football because you're losing time. So now it becomes the Marcus Mariota show. Do you believe that Marcus Mariota can carry you to victories? That's a question that you've got to answer, Atlanta fans. Sir X Gemini Pafavon said, Skip Bayless, a cornball, Ryan Clark, Shannon Sharp, Marcellus Wiley, and Marcus Spears are your favorite entertaining media personalities. That's fair. That's not a bad 4. Mahmoud Farhood put 5 on it. Said the Falcons will not be able to separate themselves unless the passing game becomes more productive. Absolutely. I didn't even read the donation yet, and bam, there it is. Our running game is great, but passing is abysmal. 110%. I agree with you. MDJ Patuon said, happened to be an alumni. He graduated with your brother. Oh, wow. That's what's up, man. That's what's up. I hope they had some stories and things of that nature. Pitts is killing you in fantasy. Amen. It's like that. Cordero Patterson is on IR. Shit. Oh, Lord. Heavy Storm Poppy's on IR? What? No. Oh, God. Well, that's it. Oh, damn. Well, it's over now. They not even going to, they'll never even ponder throwing him back at the kick return anyway. He's a full-time goddamn running back now. Oh, man. Yeah, it's clipped. It's over. It's over. Well, there goes the Hall of Fame nod. They ain't going to give him his respect. He about to fall into the same goddamn hole as Brian Mitchell and everybody else. God damn, they put him on IR. That hurt my soul just now, man. I love Cordero Patterson, man. I love since he was in Minnesota, man. When he went to New England, I'm like, finally, somebody gonna use this man the right way. Minnesota actually be using him to a good area. Short-term IR, yes, but then now when he comes back, I'm a little concerned. I got to see what happens. Why do I call Cordero Patterson Heavy Stomp Poppy? Look at the way he runs. Go to YouTube, type in Cordero Patterson kick returns. Just look at how he runs. It's a lot of high knees, but then if you look at the slow motion, every muscle in this man's leg is fucking initiated when he runs. Like this man, he stomps as if he's like Seth Rollins with a finisher. It's ridiculous. Ryan Pavavon said Heavy Stomp Poppy on IR. They have a rookie Allegier starting. He had 15 total touches for 100-plus scrimmage yards. Caleb Huntley will be his backup. God damn. Yeah, unless Mariota's running a lot of RPOs, then we'll have to see how things play out. KT Chris said, am I going to go see Steelers versus Bucks? You know what's funny? I was going to book my flight after the Sunday night football game, and now I don't want to say I'm getting cold feet, but I'm looking at the schedule, and that would – because the game's at 1, I don't mind. I really do. I'm most likely I want to say I'm going to go. It's like an 80-20, but that 20%, man, it is screeching in my ears about possibly not going. And now go Chargers, go. They got themselves a W over the Houston Texans. Texans still winless, sitting at 0-3-1. Am I shocked that the Texans are at the bottom of the NFL? No. Am I shocked that the Chargers are 2-2? Yes. First and foremost, Justin Herbert still playing despite that crazy, situation against the Chiefs. I am shocked. I must point out, that brother's resilience. But I will say this about the Chargers. They should be sitting at 4-0 at best, 3-1 at worst, but yet they sit here at 2-2. They got absolutely dominated last week against the doggone Jaguars. They took care of business this week against Houston. However, it was 27-7. Then they squandered, I believe, 17 straight points. 17 straight points. For what? Like that makes me look at a ball club like, yo, you can't put the team away. Put them away. You up 27-7. You should be in a situation where you get to 41, at best 14. They got comfortable. That concerns me. Honcho Patuan said you start a leaguer or Zeke as your number 2 running back. Dallas is, well, for one, tell you the truth, I would stay away from Zeke. I would stay away from Zeke because Zeke's underperforming. Zeke is underperforming. So I'd stay away from Zeke. They are playing against the Rams, and there's a possibility they should be able to run the ball, but I think I would personally stay away from Zeke. But for the Chargers, I'm a little bit concerned because they're taking their foot off the gas, things of that nature. So there is that. But as it pertains to Justin Herbert, phenomenal talent. I believe he's a top 10 quarterback in the league. Solidified, certified. That boy going to be a dog. I am concerned about injuries because now they're piling up. You have your Bosa situation. Guyton, I believe he had gotten hurt as well. Keenan Allen banged up and things of that nature. So with the Chargers, I don't know. It's I think it'll come back down to health. And you know what's funny? The 2010s, that was the Chargers' biggest Achilles heel. The motherfuckers was hurt. The motherfuckers was hurt, and special teams is what fucking hurt them. So that shit was crazy. Fresh Prince Secure said, I'm going with Iguodala. Even if we playing football, there's that. Who do I hate more, Cody Parkey or Nick Folk? Says DeCorio. And of the two, I would have to say Cody Parkey because his doinking has now influenced the league. Nick Folk at least redeemed himself. Cody Parkey, not so much. But the word hate is a very strong word. Should you start Steve Young or Joe as your quarterback? Joe. Joe, 110%. No disrespect to Steve Young, but you start Joe. Chicago Bears, New York Giants. The Giants got the doggone job done. Daniel Jones on 2 bootleg touchdowns. Chicago was in a genjutsu. I will say this. Cooper Kupp has 40 catches on the year, right? Why am I mentioning Cooper Kupp? Because he plays for the Rams, and we're talking about Chicago and the Giants. Cooper Kupp has 42 catches on the year. Justin Fields has 34 completions. Make it make sense. Why is Justin Fields incapable of being able to throw the ball? I don't think it's all entirely on Justin Fields' shoulders. However, I think he shoulders a great percentage of the blame. I think the offense is very predictable. I think Chicago, granted that, the run really helps, but they are not growing him as a quarterback. They need to bring in somebody who is like from the tree of Tom Moore, somebody like from the tree of Bill O'Brien. They need to bring in some goddamn quarterback guys because this ain't it. Bears offense is fucking horrible, bro. Horrible. Good job for the Giants. They moved to 3-1. Happy for them. Very happy for Saquon Barkley. Defense, I don't know how to feel about them just yet. But for the Bears, horrible offense. Horrible. The pass game, nobody believes you when you drop back to pass. It's brutal. It is fucking brutal. And you can't win games like that. Basili said, you miss Max Kellerman on First Take. He would say the dumbest, smartest things ever. You can't watch Mag Dog on there. You'd rather watch Undisputed with Shannon Sharp and Skip Troll Bayless. You know what's funny? My biggest problem with the sports debate shows is just the redundancy that exists, because obviously you have to talk about things that get clicks and get attention. However, I personally have a problem with where you ignore a great deal of teams and you dwindle down the NFL, the NBA to a handful, like 10. Because they're going to talk Cowboys, they're going to talk Bucks, they're going to talk Packers, they're going to talk Ravens, they're going to talk Chiefs, Chargers, all of those attractive teams are teams that have been at the top. But if you're a surprising team, what really caught my attention was that 2020 season where Pittsburgh started 11-0, and they were never talked about on television. Don't get me wrong; it was very, very, very small. It's not because, oh man, I'm a Steelers fan or whatever. This team, although they were flukes. Their undefeated season had a shit ton of asterisk stars. But how the fuck is the team that's the number one record in the NFL skating by on a week-by-week basis? They not even getting television coverage. That don't make sense. Freaking Jacksonville, they'll be like, wow, we're surprised by Jacksonville. Do you think it can continue? Nah. Next up, let's talk about why Dak took a shit this morning in a horizontal fashion. What? I can tell you something right now. Let's see a team that doesn't get much coverage. Let's say the New York Jets, right? Let's say the New York Jets. Actually, no, I don't want to use the New York Jets because the New York market. I want to go south, not Texans. Let's say we could Jacksonville. Kinda, they give them the maybe not. Lions was just on Hard Knocks, so they were relatively in the news. Bears a cornerstone franchise. No, not Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills is amongst the better ones. The Panthers. We'll go. Fuck, Baker Mayfield's there, and fucking Skip will never stop talking about Baker Mayfield. Yeah, Skip won't stop talking about freaking Baker Mayfield. He's gonna every opportunity he can, he's gonna talk about Baker. Let's see. Texans, because of the whole Deshaun thing, they're gonna talk about them. Dolphins, 49ers, they're gonna be in the Colts. Maybe, yeah, you know what? Colts. If the Colts start going on a goddamn run, they ain't gonna talk. Matter of fact, I don't think they did it last year. No, Falcons. Perfect. Falcons. Ain't nobody want to fucking talk about Atlanta. Falcons. If the Falcons they won motherfucking 10 straight, and they sitting at 11-2, including they win 10 straight from now, so it's really 11 straight. The Falcons win 11 straight. And they said, well, I should say 10 from now. If they win 10 straight and they sitting at 12-2, motherfuckers wouldn't even be talking about the Falcons on television. Washington, that's another team. If Washington went on a 6-game win streak, nobody who's a casual fan would even know unless they live in the Washington area. They ain't gonna get no television goddamn time. Johnny said, I'm the go to YouTube. I am not, but damn it, I appreciate the doggone The doggone compliment. Kyle out here gifting memberships. We appreciate you, Kyle. Macho said, is Fields a bust? Not yet. I can't dictate him as a bust just yet. Neo X Gohan, my man in the building, put 5 on and said, my Saints give me multiple heart attacks each year, but I'm never leaving them Saints Nation. Hey, man, eat some beignets, although they're, slightly overrated out there in New Orleans. I thought the beignet was going to be crazy. It's nothing different than the New York Zippoloi, but we ain't talking about that right now. I said Zeppoloi, but it's really Zippolis. I don't know what was going on. If there's an Italian at my door, just know I am no longer am I with the Anastasia crime family we have going on to Gambino. We're not talking about that right now. Whatever the case may be. My thoughts on Justin Herbert, he's a dog. I like him. How do I feel about Trey Lance? Speedy recovery. That's all I can say about that. There should be no other thought about Trey Lance outside of speedy recovery. But for the New York Giants, I need to see more. Chicago, fix the goddamn offense. Jacksonville and Philadelphia. Jacksonville completely forgot how to play football for 2 goddamn quarters. First quarter, they were up 14-0, and they seemed to sit there like, woo, Doug Peterson's back in Lincoln Financial Field. Yay, it's a spot that he won the Super Bowl. The people done cheered for him. 15 minutes, we're going to go out there and play our best brand of football. We got the lead. It's 14-0. Game is over, but it's not. There's 45 more minutes. They lost the whole lead in the second quarter. 20 unanswered points in the second quarter. This is what Jacksonville's drives were in the second quarter. Right? Trevor Lawrence, and mind, they got a 6 and out, right? He got sacked. 6 and out. Then, their next drive, 3 and out. Their next drive, 3 and out. They lost the lead on all of as the entire second quarter went. Third quarter, 3 and out. They drove down the field, intercepted. Then after that, they finally was able to go down to, oh no, I lied, 3 and out. It's ridiculous, bruh. Ridiculous. They completely forgot how to play football, and that's what cost them. Right now, when they had the lead in the second quarter, obviously that's a very difficult sort of situation to where you can't necessarily, try to run away with the game. You still got to try to play your game. Philly just turned it up a notch. It's like Philly was like this. Oh, we down 14-0? Shit. They sat up in the goddamn seat, and it was over. And then it was over. Duke, I talked about the Minnesota Vikings a little bit earlier, but I need to see what it looked like by week 9. So it's like they sat up in the seat, and then all of a sudden, Jacksonville was like, oh, shit, they playing for real? Jalen Hurts plays very well, but let's just be honest. I believe it was, I forget which analyst was talking about it. I think it was early on in the morning analyst. Was it? No, it wasn't Ryan Clark. It was a different brother who had pointed out that Jalen Hurts hasn't necessarily beat the upper echelon of quarterbacks, and of the games against, average or slightly below average quarterbacks, he's has a crazy record or whatever. But for Philly, I think this one for Jacksonville is a learning. They're a very young team, but it's a learning experience for them because they definitely have to learn to put their foot on the gas. Moreover, I'm very disappointed at their rush game because Travis Etienne, 8 carries. You want to work him back in? Great. James Robinson, 8 carries. And Trevor Lawrence threw the ball 23 times. But granted, it was one of them situations where, if I'm not mistaken, time of possession went Philly's way heavily. Did it not? What was the time of possession for this game? 39 minutes in the hands of Philadelphia. You want to know why? Because motherfucking Jacksonville couldn't hold on to they couldn't, 1, finish drives and have longer than 3 and outs after they took the lead. 2, they could not run the ball worth the spit. 3, it got to a point where they were like, fam, this ain't working. Fuck it. We ain't even going to try it no more. You got to have a balanced attack. Dice put 5 on and said, which QB for the Dolphins took the worst hit, Tua or Pat White? Oh, come on now. You know it's Pat White. Tua's look great, but you know it's Pat White. We praying for Tua, but Pat White hit was crazy. Jets and Steelers, I'll talk about that last. Baltimore and Buffalo. Both these teams will be in the playoffs. Both these teams have potential to make deep playoff runs. Baltimore if I'm not mistaken, this is their second blown, like 17-point lead. What are they, the Cleveland Browns now? It's an AFC North thing, just blowing leads. But Jim Harbaugh, I talked about it in the commentary, so I don't need to go too extensive on it. John Harbaugh, not Jim Harbaugh. His team is undefeated out there in Michigan. Congratulations. I went a couple of months ago, I was last month, to go see Michigan actually play against Penn State. That was pretty fun. I wasn't over there for that. I was there for the Urban Survival Train, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But John Harbaugh, very stupid for the call at the end of the game. Why? Take the points. Take the points. For Buffalo, they showed, hey, if we got the lead, we could put a team away. If we're from behind, we can catch up. If it's a nail biter, we can make it do what it do. Every single game they have been in this year, they have been in. Moreover, every single game had been winning. A situation where they could have won. Let's just keep it a buck. In the game against Miami with the butt punt, if these motherfuckers got out of bounds, there's not a doubt in my mind Tyler Bass could have possibly banged in a field goal for the win. So with that being the case, Buffalo could have easily been a 4-0 football team. And the fact that they came all the way back on the Baltimore Ravens, which is a team that needs the lead to play their brand of football. Don't get me wrong, there are moments in which they can mess around, make a comeback. But let's really look how that team is concocted. They are a team that is built to have the lead and keep the lead. They squandered a 17-point lead. Calvin put 1 on it. Much love, Calvin. I appreciate you. Honcho put 2 on. Said, Booby Miles Sanders with the best game of his career. Yep. Kyle actually, no, I think he did have a better game. I can't recall. Kyle put 5 on it. Said, my Jags shit the bet against the Eagles. The Eagles adjusted to the conditions, and my Jags didn't correct. But for the Bills, this was a game of resiliency. For Baltimore, this shined a light on Harbaugh. Now it gets to a point where does the moxie of a man lead him to nothing but devastation? Because now it's starting to reflect where it's like, fam, like Marcus Peters almost had to piece this man up. Like, fam, kick the fucking field goal. It's your fault that we hit, which it's not, because you had to stop them from the 2-yard line and y'all failed. They went all the way down the field on your motherfuckers. But take the fucking points. You get what you goddamn deserve. Take the goddamn points. Don't put yourself in a genjutsu trying to do too much. I said it in the commentary. Sometimes now, especially in this generation of sports, period, the analytic motherfuckers are going to be the downfall because fundamentals will always win. Fundamentals will always win. You don't need to, this percentage is higher than this percent. And then if I keep doing this, if you consider the trajectory of throwing a bomb about 4 times per game, at this time in the quarter, this particular player is going to have a look. Fuck all of that. Go back to the basics. What has been a proven concept to win in football, you follow that doggone concept. You're trying to do too goddamn much. And John Harbaugh, you fucked yourself. Let's just go for it on 4th and goal from our 2-yard line when you have the greatest kicker of all time, allegedly. And right back there in Justin Tucker. Doesn't make sense, bruh. Doesn't make sense. Ridiculous. Do I think they'll end up paying Lamar? I think so. But best believe there will be a higher offer that's out there. Andre Patuan said, Ravens have a history of second-half collapses. They do. Captain said Harbaugh didn't factor in Poyer picking off the ball in the end zone. I don't think they ever factor in, a possible turnover, but it just didn't make any sense because he said, if you take into account 7 does us better than 3 if we have the lead there. If we kick a field goal at that particular point, that now puts us in a situation where, the field goal will, give them an opportunity to go down and score or possibly force overtime. If we score a touchdown, then now they've got to go, down the field and get 7. On top of that, if in the event, we mess around and we don't convert, that's not that big of a problem because, if you take into account the situation of turnover on downs, they've got to go 98 yards. If they were to have, a possible turnover in the end zone, then they've got to take it out from the 20. Well, if that's a particular case, Harbaugh, kick the field goal, you trust your defense, let them stop them from the 25. If you trust your defense, take the points. It's a lot of word salad for what? Take the points. I hope he learns his lesson now. And still, he said in the damn press conference, well, this would have been the better decision looking in hindsight. But if you look at the numbers, no, there is no look at the numbers. I understand you took accountability, but you now just reneged it because you're trying to qualify why you did the goofiness that you did. Fuck that shit. Take the numbers. When the game is on the line, the time to be analytical, fuck that shit. And if you go roll the dice, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. You live on it. You earn that. Well, not earn it, but you live on that. You stand on that. Moving on, the Arizona Cardinals, Carolina Panthers. Good victory for the Cardinals. Very scary situation for J.J. Watt. But I'm going into the game. Of course, I hope that brother's all right, but I'm pretty sure with the way that he spoke about the situation, I'm not going to say, prematurely, hey, it's going to be his last season, but I think maybe there might be considering of that because now you are a new father, so you don't want to be in a situation in which, you jeopardize that. But Cardinals, Panthers, good victory for the Cardinals. The Panthers are just a very confusing football team. They had the lead in the second quarter, and then they pretty much virtually did absolutely nothing up until the their second to last drive of the game when McCaffrey scored. I will say this, Baker Mayfield, like I said earlier, I think he's just, a machismo version of Kirk family member Cousins. For Arizona, I think now they're sitting at what, 2-2? Yeah, they're sitting at 2-2. For Arizona, Kyler Murray, I like him. I do. I think he can still make things happen. I'm slightly concerned about the way that they, navigate through games and what their identity is going to be, because you shouldn't have to constantly, on a week in, week out basis, not really know what kind of identity your team is going to be. Like losing against the Rams last week, they didn't play a very good game. This week against Carolina, it was all right. They had to come all the way from behind against, Las Vegas. They got cooked by Kansas City. So Arizona, I don't know what kind of football team they are, but for Carolina, I know Carolina is just, they're kind of just coasting. They got to figure out what the fuck they want to do. But Matt Rule need to go. That's all I know. He ain't the dude. He ain't the dude. John D said you emailed me back whenever you emailed me back whenever I see it. All right, cool. I'm gonna check it out. Brother. Because I was wondering if you had me back, but I'll check it out. Am I gonna go over the predictions? Yes, I am. But it's gonna be more score predictions because I got like 12 minutes until the premiere of the video, so I'm gonna go through the remainder of the games. Green Bay and New England. New England was playing with their third-string quarterback, and I said it during the stream before. There should be nothing for New England to feel bad about outside of their record, of course, but they did a hell of a doggone effort out there. For Green Bay, offensively, there isn't a level of consistency that exists there, especially where it should be for Aaron Rodgers. I think the receivers all need to step up, and they know that. Aaron Jones is showing flashes of, what he's been the last couple of years, and I think that's going to continue. A.J. Dillon definitely taking a step forward. Defensively for the Packers, you're not too sure what you're going to get on a week-in, week-out basis, so they got to figure out that identity. But as a whole, they're sitting there at 3-1. It's great to have, the victories or whatever, and I think they're going to get better as the season continues. But ultimately, the people around Aaron Rodgers got to step up, and that's all I can say for the Packers. For the Patriots, and I was asked earlier if I believe that Bill Belichick can turn it around for them. Yes. However, with Mac Jones not being there, their run game is going to have to become crazy. Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson, and company. These dudes are going to have to play their asses off like it's the Super Bowl every single day. Whether it's Hoyer that's out there, whether it's Zappy that's out there, or whoever takes snaps under center, those dudes are going to need to show up and show out. Defensively, it's turnovers is not enough anymore. You got to turn them turnovers into points. It's they need to show up. Everybody, it's all hands on deck. They got to show up and show out. That's what needs to happen for the Patriots to turn things around. Belichick is going to have that team prepared, but it's all about execution. It's all about execution. And for the Packers, I agree 110%, Black Freak Sword. They'll be judged in the playoffs. What they do in the regular season really don't matter. It's just like them. I look at them the same way I look at Baltimore. I look at them the same way I look at Las Vegas. Regular season, all well and good, but I really don't give a fuck. I want to see what it looked like in the playoffs. I want to look because I know the teams that when they get to the postseason, they nut up and they show up. And you know exactly what the fuck you're going to get because they're seasoned. No, A-Rod's not bad in the playoffs. It's a myth. A-Rod's not bad in the playoffs. He's just had unfortunate luck at some different moments. Like last year, I think San Francisco's defense played outstanding. I think they played outstanding. And Aaron had a couple of rocket balls that he should not have thrown. But moving forward, Las Vegas and Denver. Congratulations to Las Vegas. They finally got their first victory of the season. You want to know why? They gave the fucking ball to Josh Jacobs. I said the same goddamn thing last year. Derek Carr is a receiver's worst nightmare. What do I mean by that? Derek Carr will set your ass up to get blown the fuck up. He will throw that ball about 2 yards in front of you, and you'll run into the goddamn safety, run into the linebacker, run into the offside corner. You're going to get blown the fuck up. But you want to know why Las Vegas messed around and won this game? They gave the football to Josh Jacobs. Give the ball to Josh Jacobs, create a balanced attack, and now you've got a scary offense. If you try to play the goddamn Derek Vehicle game, you're not going to have a bad time. It's not that he's not a capable quarterback, because he is. However, he's not going to win you all them games on his own. This is not 2015. Give the goddamn ball to Josh Jacobs. Watch that man work. All of a sudden, when the defense bites, run that play action fake. Davante Adams will be there because he's going to be that motherfucking dog. You still got Renfro. You got Waller. Don't get anybody hurt. Make things happen. But Las Vegas, give the goddamn ball to Josh Jacobs and watch that man work. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to happen. And Renfro's going to be back this game, I believe. Tiger said, if anybody can win the NFC West, considering that they're all tied, I still think the West is going to be between the Niners and the Rams. I think the West is still going to be between the Niners and the Rams. Did I talk about Philly? Yeah, I spoke about Philly already. But moving on from there, Kansas City, Tampa Bay. Tampa, I already said they're going to be in a very rough situation for this season because guys are hurt, and I also believe there will be a level of underperformance that exists for them as well. For Kansas City, they've hit their stride, and they're playing their brand of football. Defensively, I still am concerned about them. Offensively, losing Tyreek Hill, that's brutal, but let's just be honest here. That goddamn offense, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes got them motherfuckers dogging every single year. And Travis Kelce is going to have another all-pro season. Mark Andrews took it from him last year. He about to get that son bitch right back. Actually, Mark Andrews took it from him last year. But Travis Kelce about to get that first team All-Pro right the fuck back. He wants that, and he playing just like it. Kansas City, they look good. Kansas City looks fucking good. They look really good. You talk about the AFC, Kansas City's the cream of the crop alongside the Buffalo Bills. And then, of course, on the lower scale, you have the Baltimore Ravens, which I don't even really feel comfortable saying lower scale or whatever. But, man, listen, Kansas City, they look good. I like the way they look. They look good. And Travis Kelce, he can't be guarded. These motherfuckers doubling him. They still can't guard him. It's crazy. Los Angeles and Brady needs to throw the ball deep a bit more. Yeah, but then you got to consider the guys. Like somebody had mentioned earlier, if Julian Edelman will be returning to the team, and returning to the league to play with Tampa Bay. And truly, I think that they should call him. I think that they should, because he can definitely help, their ball club. That's something that is it could really go a very long way for their team. So I think for sure they should add Julian Edelman. For sure, give that man a phone call and get him there, because they need more hands on deck, because Brady is now under duress. That offensive line isn't as good with the injury to Jensen, and a lot of times you see somebody getting up slow and all gingerly and all this other stuff, so it's not a good time. But Brady needs more help. He needs more help. And the run game has to get activated for Tampa Bay. If it does not, they're going to have a rough rough go around. Daniel put 2 on it. Said this the guy got him on the field is suing. Wait, the guy who got hit by is suing Wagner. Man, tell that dude I said eat a dick. Fuck wrong with him. Send all kind of Bobby Wagners towards him. Nah, the Bucks got to feed Evans. Here's the problem, though. They're feeding Evans very well. Don't get me wrong, but Evans is taking some fucking hits. And he getting up there in age. What is Mike Evans, 31? Some shit like that? So he getting up there in age. Well, how old is Mike Evans? How old is Mike Evans? He's 31? Mike Evans is, he's 29. Shit. Hell, light that motherfucker up. No, Mike Evans, he taking some hits. And he's literally the target, you know? So because he is the target, I don't know, man, because they lighten him up. Like, he took some blows in that Kansas City game. So I'm a little bit concerned regarding the durability, and I said at the beginning of the stream, I'm not somebody who wishes injury on somebody or predicts that somebody might get hurt, but with Mike Evans, I wouldn't be surprised if he missed some games and is not attached to suspension. But Kansas City, they look good. Kyle put 20 on it. Said congrats on the retirement of Blake the Boat Bortles. On his retirement, he was 50-50 in that 2017 season, but he made some great plays that year, and he also scrambled my Pittsburgh Steelers into absolute oblivion in what I believe was the last season that they could have possibly messed around and got a Lombardi under Big Ben. And I will never forgive Blake Bortles for picking up those third downs on 3rd and 9s and 3rd and 6s and scrambling and picking up yards. If I'm not mistaken, he ran for 66 yards or 65 yards during that playoff game. All of them motherfuckers came on scrambles for first downs. Really pissed me the fuck off. But yeah, so that's where I'm at on Kansas City. Now, Monday night game, Los Angeles and San Francisco. San Francisco has Los Angeles' number. That's just what it is. Deebo Samuel's a grown-ass fucking man. You don't play with that boy. San Francisco's defense is otherworldly so far to start this year, where 50% of their opponents' drives end in a 3-and-out. What? That's absurd. Absurd. And for Los Angeles, defensively, they can't get off the field on 3rd down. And last but not least, well, they can't get off the field on 3rd down on defense. Their run game is laughable. And last but not least, Matthew Stafford has played so subpar. You question if he actually played a large role in their success last year. When you know he did. But he's played abysmal. The throws that this man has missed really makes you scratch your head. It's ridiculous. What is he doing? You won a Super Bowl. That's great. I thought you want to get another one. The way you playing, that ain't it. It's literally get the ball to Cooper Kupp, sprinkle in a little bit of Tyler Higbee, look Allen Robinson's way, let's throw an interception. That's literally what this man's game plan is. How the fuck y'all bring Allen Robinson there and you don't throw him the ball in red zone situations? You got the man getting guarded one-on-one. You're not even taking a chance on him. What kind of football is this? I thought Sean McVay was an offensive wizard. Through 1 month of the season, really got me scratching my head. Don't get me wrong, the run game ain't there like I stated earlier. But my God, what is that? Is it only Cooper Kupp? Cooper Kupp got 42 catches in 4 games. How many completions Matthew Stafford got on the season? How many completions Matthew Stafford got? This man, so far this season, Matthew Stafford is sitting on $106 completions. 42 of them things going to Cooper Kupp. If I'm not mistaken, 42 of 106. Let's just subtract. That would leave you with what? 68? 60 from 40, 42, 64. This motherfucker got nearly 50%, probably 40% flat of all of this man's completions. Is there nobody else you could throw the football to? It's fucking crazy. It's only Cooper Kupp. Kyle put 20 on, said, you're my favorite YouTube personality, second to Tom Grossi. Keep up the great work, brother. I just joined on Patreon to support what you do. Cheers. How does the Zoom meetings work? With that, send me a message on Patreon, and I will get into that for the personal one-on-ones for everybody. There's been a number of people who have contacted me about the personal one-on-one. You just hit me up, and then bam, we can set it up and then do our one-on-ones. But yeah, it don't matter if you got Cooper Kupp in your fantasy. But my God, it's like, fam, I know it's backyard football out there, but get the ball to other people. Like, that don't make no sense. And as it pertains to the Steelers and the Steelers versus the Jets, I said everything that I need to say in my post game. I'm not going to go on no super rant now, but I will say this. Pittsburgh, the football is a game of inches. Pittsburgh, although it does seem relatively unrealistic, but if you watched their 4 games, or I should say the 3 games following the victory against Cincinnati, every single one was very winnable in the fourth quarter, and they simply could not finish. Nor did they do the plays necessary to get to the point where they could say, hey, you know what, we're done with this. We've got ourselves the victory. You're leading by 10. You bring in Kenny Pickett. You lead by 10. You bring in Kenny Pickett. He takes over as the starting quarterback. You now reignite and invigorate the doggone crowd. Everybody's losing their mind. People are going crazy. People are throwing babies in the air and everything. Then, for whatever reason, on a 2nd and 15, let's just take a chance and throw the ball into the air. Kenny Pickett showcasing his youth. When he when he throws it into the hands of Pat Freiermuth, it's ricocheted into the air. Don't get me wrong, Freiermuth should have caught the fucking ball. He holds a large, percentage of the blame on that interception as well. But throw the football away, or take the sack. Live to see the other down. Don't take no chances. Like, what are you gonna get out of that? You launch the ball. What are you gonna get out of that? A 2-yard gain? It's ridiculous. Throw the football away. Play smart. Then underthrowing Chase Claypool, things of that nature. But I'm gonna chalk it up to the man's youth. It's his very first game, that happens. Ben Roethlisberger into the game against the Ravens. They got punched like 30-13, and then he won every other game until the AFC Championship. But my God, like, fam, Steelers do it to themselves week in and week out. You got to finish football games. For the Jets, they showcase resiliency. Of their 2 victories thus far this season, both has been absolute fourth quarter resiliency. So they got nothing but kudos from me for that. And now we're going to move forward to this upcoming weekend. I'm going to do rapid fire for the predictions for week 5. So here's where I see it. Oh, by the way, I have a video that's going to premiere in the next I think it's going to premiere in 2 minutes. Or is it 2 minutes? I actually don't know. When is the time? Oh no, it's 7 minutes. Yeah, it's going to premiere in 7 minutes. Let me push it. Let me make it 12. I'll put it at 10:45. There we go. People gonna be sick. Nope. It's too late to switch it now. It's too late to switch it now. So it's gonna premiere in 7 minutes at 10:40. Yeah, it's going to premiere at 10:45. So it is what it is. But yeah. I touched on the Broncos. I touched on the Broncos early because the Broncos played against the Raiders. Oh, and I think it was more of a story of the Raiders than the Broncos. But the Broncos offense, I'll say this about Russell Wilson. He's underperforming, but he's in a new offense. And I don't think Hackett really knows how to utilize this man in that particular offense. Very confusing for the way that things look. Javonte Williams, I believe he just got hurt, something with the ACL, so it's clipped from him. Melvin Gordon's not holding on to the football. Guys just got to play better. Defensively, Bradley Chubb looks great for a guy who missed quite a long period of time. The secondary that's out there for the Broncos, I have high hopes for them as well. Their run defense is very somewhat questionable for the most part, but really the story is the Broncos offense, and I will say this for Russell Wilson, I really feel for that man. However, at the exact same time, he's also missing reads. He's also not making those completions. So the entire Denver Broncos team needs to play better. So there is that. Wesley put 2 on, said, your Oilers are going to the Super Bowl, hashtag oily up, hashtag H block. I don't know what you're talking about right there. Is John Abraham a Hall of Famer? Says Jayo. Yes, he is. He should be in Hall of Fame. But yeah, I don't know what you're talking about right there, because the Oilers have been relatively discontinued since 1997, if I'm not mistaken. So what Oilers are you talking about? You keep talking about oil up. What do you mean by that? You giving massages? You hanging out with Deshaun Watson? Deshaun Watson was receiving massages, not giving massages. But what's going on with that? Huh? You talking about oil up? What are you talking about right there? What are you talking about right there? Broncos haven't been the same after Manning's retirement. Absolutely, they have not been the same since Manning's retirement. But I will say this. Here we go. For the week 5, here are my rapid picks who I think is winning. First and foremost, Thursday Night Football, Colts and Broncos. Jonathan Taylor, I believe they ruled him out. This will be a battle of the mid. And who do I think will come away with the victory? Truly, I think the Broncos should win this game. Why? Because the offensive line for Indianapolis has been absolutely subpar, and there is no way that the Denver Broncos don't get after Matt Ryan and force this man into bad decisions. So with that being the case, I am going with the Denver Broncos to win on Thursday Night Football over the Indianapolis Colts. Malachi put 5 on, said he came in late. What are my thoughts on the Pats game? I said earlier regarding the Patriots, where there's nothing that they should be ashamed of. The Packers did enough to win the game, and you're in a situation you're playing with a third-string quarterback. However, to turn things around, everybody, the skill position, they have to step up to help, whether it's Hoyer, whether it's Zappi, when Jones returns, if they were to get a different quarterback, whatever the case is, all of the skill players have to step up. That's my take on the Patriots. But I got the Broncos winning on Thursday night. Now, as it pertains to the regular games on Sunday. In London, Green Bay and the Giants. Give me Green Bay. Lions at the Patriots in the Lalilulelos Star Fox Borough. I don't see Dan Campbell outwitting Bill Belichick. I think that defense and Jared Goff has been prone to give out some donations, gifts. So because that's the case, give me the Patriots to get that W. Chargers against the Browns. Give me the Chargers. They're going over 500. Texans and Jaguars. If the Jaguars don't win this game, if the Jaguars don't win this doggone game, the ship gonna sail for me. They got to win this game. You cannot afford to be relatively mid. I think the Texans are going to make it somewhat competitive, but give me the Jaguars. Falcons and Buccaneers. This is the game for the Bucs to get back on track. They lost 2 in a row, but the Falcons, this is something that they can go out there and prove. However, the Falcons have never defeated Brady in his entire career. I believe they're 0-10. So give me the Buccaneers to get this W. Steelers against the Bills. Last year, the Steelers pulled off a miracle. However, the Steelers have yet to win a game without T.J. Watt. So although the fan in me really wants to go ahead and say Pittsburgh, and I'm going to pick against them and hope that, perhaps something can happen to where they go out there and miraculously go out there and get a W. But right now it's looking like it's Buffalo that's fixing to go and get that game. However, every time Pittsburgh plays against a team that they should lose to, I actually feel much more comfortable because they play up to their competition, but then unfortunately also play down to their competition. Dolphins against the Jets. Surprisingly enough, despite the fact that Tua won't be playing, I actually still have the Dolphins winning this game, but I do think it's going to be relatively competitive. Bears against the Vikings. I have zero faith in the Bears offense. Because that's the case, give me the Minnesota to go ahead and win that game. And it's not prime time, so Kirk family member Cousins doesn't have to worry about the entire world watching. Titans versus the Commanders. Titans don't necessarily have a pass rush that exists over there to really get after Carson Wentz, but let's just be honest right now. Washington simply cannot get the goddamn job done. And because that's the case, Tennessee should get to, go out there and take care of business. On top of that, because their defense still isn't at 100%, I expect this to be the coming out party for Derrick Henry. Last week, people, when King Henry's back. Wait until what he sees. So wait until what you see he do against the goddamn Commanders. Seahawks versus the Saints. in New Orleans. I think New Orleans gonna get it done. I think well. It depends on if Jameis Winston plays. Let me see here. Is Jameis Winston coming back, or is he still out? He missed another practice. Okay. So if Andy Dalton is still taking reps as a starter, hey, you know what? I really would love to say the Saints gonna get the doggone job done. Chase. No, I don't think Chase is gonna back it. Yeah, give me Seattle. I like what Rashad Penny's doing on the ground. Give me Seattle. 49ers and the Panthers. Give me 49ers to win this game. But I do think this can be a sneaky game in which the Panthers can mess around and compete and bring this down to the wire. But give me the 49ers to win this game. Eagles and the Cardinals. This is going to be the second game of the week. But I think the Cardinals going to get them. I think the Cardinals are going to get them. Philly is the better football team, but I think on this Sunday, the Cardinals get them and the 72 Dolphins going to be drinking. I think the Cardinals are going to get them. I think the 72 Dolphins are going to be drinking. That's my upset alert. That is my upset alert for the week. Give me the Eagles, of course, the Pittsburgh Steelers over the Bills, but give me the Cardinals over the Eagles. Cowboys and the Rams. The Rams got to bounce back, and because the Rams are so goddamn wishy-washy, I actually think that they'll go out there and take care of business, and Cooper Rush is going to take his first L as a starter in the NFL. I cannot envision a circumstance in which Jalen Ramsey gets cooked again, this time by CeeDee Lamb. I don't think that, although their run defense was absolutely abysmal, I don't think that Zeke and Pollard will combine to fucking cook the Rams defense. If they cannot get it together for this game, I'm really going to be scratching my head for a possible repeat championship situation for them, because it's going to be clipped. So give me the Rams to get this W over the Cowboys. I think they get the job done. However, I do think Trevon Diggs will have a pick six. Bengals and the Ravens, my second game of the week. This one's going to be very interesting because both teams need this W early on in the season, and it's a divisional game as well. The Ravens are the better football team, in my opinion, and this is going to be one of those 50-50 games that come down to the kicker, and McPherson won't be the one who's kicking it. It will be Justin Tucker, and you always got to believe in Justin Tucker, and I believe that the Ravens get this W on Sunday Night Football, last second of the game, through the uprights and good after Lamar Jackson puts them into field goal range on a short field. And last but not least, Raiders and Chiefs at Kansas City in Missouri. And although the Raiders will try to make things interesting, I think the Chiefs ultimately will get this W and the Raiders will fall. So, yeah, I could hope that they ends in a tie. Isaiah said, how is the Unchiseled Adonis doing? He's doing all right. But ultimately, that's where I see the games concluding for this particular week, and I'm going to read off my picks once more. I got the Broncos beating the Colts on Thursday Night Football tomorrow. Then I have the Packers winning in London, the Patriots taking down the Lions, the Chargers over the Browns, Jaguars over the Texans, Buccaneers over the Falcons, Bills over the Steelers, Dolphins defeating the Jets in a close game. The Vikings over the Bears, Titans over the Commanders, the Seahawks over the Saints, 49ers over the Panthers, the Cardinals taking down the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles, Rams over the Cowboys, Ravens over the Bengals, and last but not least, the Chiefs over the Raiders. Let me know in the comment section who you guys think. The comment section, not the live chat, because I don't think you're gonna be able to type all teams and characters there. But leave it in the comment section after the stream is over who you guys think will be winning. We're gonna keep this up every single week for the remainder of the season. And yeah, man, I'll going live tomorrow for the game as well, so stay tuned for that. Eric put 5 on it. Said, aside from the NFL, I'm gonna watch the final season of Attack on Titan. Of course I will. So I have the last episode that I had watched. I believe they were fleeing on the boat. But yes, I will be live tomorrow. Kyle gave out 5 more memberships. That's a good dude right there. But oh wow, well, that's pretty doggone dope, man. I appreciate you always sharing the love and everything. So yeah, let me know in the comment section who you guys think will be winning. Head over to the premiere of my video. I actually think it will transport you at the conclusion of the stream here. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm about to go ahead and get myself something here to drink. And yeah, man, have yourself a good night. Let me know in the comment section what you think of my picks. I don't want to have a abrupt ending, but I know the premiere is going on right now. I'd like to just drop in and acknowledge the individuals who happen to be in the chat room over there. So you guys have yourself a good night. Go and check out the video that I got going on right now.
Good night. Suck my dick. Bye-bye.